have a look at what I've got going on here. And welcome to Blue Hour. Okay, so as you can see now, still no cloud, but look how much color we've got. Okay, so here's the back of the camera. And as you can see, that just looks absolutely epic. Get a really nice foreground, and then we're going to do a separate exposure for our sky, and we'll blend them together. Okay, so I'll run through all of the camera settings. So I'll go even up to F10 just to get the tree and our sky in focus. Have a look at that sky. Okay, so this is why I just keep revisiting locations. Okay, because I'm kind of deliberately underexposing because I don't want to blow out, I want to keep all that color in the sky. I've still got a fair bit before the water comes in, but I'm pretty confident just after sunset, once we get our color, we should have enough water in there to get some nice reflections. Okay, check it out, right on sun is setting right now. Starting to get some really nice light, so I'm going to stop talking and take some photos. So again, just changing my shutter speed. Okay, the tree will blur a little bit. We can increase our ISO to get faster shutter speeds, but I'm not too concerned with the tree. It's all about that sky at the moment. Okay, so I hope you did like that intro. Hervey Bay, Queensland, it's an amazing place. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, check it out. Otherwise, subscribe and I will do live streams out there and I'll show you more of Hervey Bay. I'll take you to the piers, I'll take you to the mangroves. I'm planning a trip out to one of the islands soon. So subscribe, like, get to see more of Hervey Bay. Anyway, today's video, I'm going to show you a very simple and effective way of just making your images pop a little bit more. Now this will work with just about any sort of landscape, seascape image, and I'm going to keep it very simple and effective. We're going to work with an image that is already nice, and that's kind of what I teach. I teach, let's get our photo as nice as we can in camera, and then just lift it a little bit using Lightroom or Photoshop. Okay, so now onto the developing side of things. Now there's a little trick that not many people know about, and it is that with landscape photography, landscape, seascape, our eye will always go to the brightest part of an image. So as soon as you look at an image, your eye will generally go to the brightest part of the image. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a really cool technique to not only lift your photo and take it from a flat raw file, but we're going to lead our eye where we want it to go. Okay, now this is specifically for landscapes and seascapes. If you're talking portraits, your eye will go to the eye. Same with wildlife. If you look at a wildlife image, you are looking into the eyes of the animal, into the eyes of the person for portraits. Landscapes, our eye will go to the brightest part of the image. Okay, so a lot of people don't know that, and that once you understand that your eye goes to the brightest parts of the image, gives us a lot of control over what we can do to our image. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got 6 raw files, all very different raw files. And now that I've told you about going to the brightest part, you're going to be looking at the brightest part of the image. And that's a natural thing. That's what our eye does. It will go to the brightest part of the image. Now, I've chosen all these specifically because the lightest parts are all over the place. If we have a look at this first one, okay, the sun on the horizon, but we've also got this bright area up the top, which straight away I'm looking at it and it's really distracting having that bright area up the top. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is let's make our image look nice. Okay, it's a raw file, it's going to be flat. This will work with every image. So this first part, I guarantee you, you do this to any image, it's going to improve it straight away. If we come up to our profile, change it to Adobe Landscape. Okay, Adobe Landscape adds a lot of vibrance and color. Even the in-camera landscape can be a good one. So play around with your landscape ones. If you shoot on landscape in camera, this is how it will come into your editing program. I shoot in neutral, okay, because I do a little bit of everything. I do some portraits, I do some wildlife. I shoot in neutral, and then I can choose, what type of photo I'm doing. So in this case, landscape, straight away adding some color. Now, with all of my images, I straight away bring down my highlights about 50%. So any landscape, seascape image, I boost my shadows by around about 40 to 50, depending on the image. But for the sake of this video, this is a very general starting point. Blacks and whites, we're going to leave them for now. Okay, we'll deal with them a little bit later. And finally, contrast. Just boost your contrast. I wouldn't go over 50. That's pushing into the over processing side of things. Okay, all of these sliders, I tend to keep them under 50%. Probably the only ones that I would push up further would be my highlights. But ideally, we want to keep the image as natural as possible. So just subtle adjustments. Okay, and then I will go down to my lens correction, remove chromatic aberration, put our lens profile on. Lens profile will get rid of vignetting. It will get rid of any distortion, any imperfections we may have in our lens. The profile will fix that. Okay, now if we have a look at our before and after, straight away it is already a lot more punchy, a lot more colorful. Okay, that's all I'm doing for starters. From there, I'm going to press Command or Control and A on my keyboard, and that's going to select all of the images. And then I'm going to press Sync, check all, synchronize. So now I have my base starting point sorted. So now if I have a look at all of these images and I have a look at where they started to where they are now, as you can see, it's boosted everything. It's boosted our color, it's brought up our shadows. Okay, it's a good starting point. Okay, so take your flat raw files and just add a little bit of life to them. And that will work with any seascape, landscape, anything that's not people or wildlife, okay? Now, getting back onto the little trick with our eye always goes to the brightest part of the scene. What we want to do, now that we've done our basic adjustment, and for most people, that is probably all you need to do, okay? That's your basic adjustment. But you know, the little key is we're going to use light to lead our eye to where we want it to go. Okay, so if we have a look at this image, we've got a nice sunset. We've got like a little mangrove tree in there, just adding some interest. It's a nice scene, but this top up, it's just too bright. Okay, my eye keeps wandering up here looking at sort of nothing. It's not overexposed. If we bring down our exposure, we'll see we have detail up there. So what we're going to do is darken that down. We want our eye coming to the middle of the frame. So this is where, by controlling the light, what we're going to do is lead our eye to where we want it. So all we're going to do in this case is we're just going to darken down the top. Okay, bring our exposure down a little bit. Okay, you might even want to bring down your highlights a bit. Add some more contrast. Okay, if you want to make it blue, just add some blue to it. Okay, but effectively what we're doing is we're darkening down the top part of that image so our eye doesn't wander up into the brightest parts. Okay, and now I'm looking, and down here looks a little bit too bright. So I'll just grab another filter and we'll just grab another linear gradient. And this time we'll bring it in just from this side a little bit and just darken that down just a tad. Okay, so now if we have a look at our before and after, there's our very flat raw file where our eye kind of wanders everywhere. Now if we look at it, okay, we're directing it back into the middle. We're getting rid of these bright distractions around our frame, taking our eye back into the middle. Okay, now if I was any good, I would actually have a straight horizon. It's a little pet peeve of mine. Straight horizons, landscapes, seascapes, make sure that horizon's straight. Okay, so now we've directed our eye back into the middle. It's not wandering off into these brighter areas. It's actually coming into where we want it to go. All right, so if we have a look at our next image, a very similar thing, okay? But this time, I do want to make this rock a bit more of the feature. I don't want our eye wandering up here into the bright sky. The sunset, fine, that's kind of what it's all about. But I do want to emphasize these rocks a bit more. So similar to what we did before, but this time what I'm going to do is brighten up the entire image, just get my foreground to roughly where I want it. Okay, so that's a bit brighter now. Now I'm actually taking note of my foreground. So now I'm going to do the opposite. This time I'm going to grab a filter, a linear gradient, and I'm going to darken down that sky a little bit to lead our eye back into the middle. Okay, and just like that. Okay, now we're back into the middle. So if we have a look at our before, everything's very dark and we're just going straight to that sky and the sun. Now our eye's starting to look a little bit more into the middle of the frame. Okay, and this one here, another little trick, just boost vibrance. I tend not to touch saturation. If it looks a little bit flat, just boost your vibrance a little bit. Contrast will add color as well. Okay, so this one, you know, if you want to go for that contrasty look, you might want to push it up to about 50. Every image is slightly different, but the process is the same. Use light to direct your eye. Okay, and if we have a look at this next one, now this one, it was an overcast day, it was very flat. My eye's going straight up to the fern, okay, because the fern is very bright. I want my eye to be on this waterfall. So a good trick we can do with this one is, once again, we're going to grab a filter, but this time we're going to grab a radial filter. And what we're going to do is we're just going to darken down the edge of the frame. So if we grab a radial filter, put it somewhere in the middle, I'll just make it a little bit smaller. Okay, and then if we go to invert, now it's only going to affect the outside. So now I can bring down my exposure a little bit, even add some contrast. That will darken it down a little bit as well. Okay, and then if we just have a look at before and after, we're just darkening down the edge of the frame, bringing our eye back into the middle. Okay, and in this case, we could probably even grab a brush tool. Okay, make our brush nice and small. And if we really want to emphasize that waterfall, let's just increase our whites a little bit and brush in the whites into the middle just to make them a little bit brighter. Okay, so once again, if we have a look at our before, very flat raw file, and now our eye is going more towards the water because we've brightened up the water a little bit and just darkened down the edges. Okay, very subtle effect, but very effective. Okay, and then we've got an image like this, which it's almost perfect. Okay, our eye's going where we want it to go. The brightest part is that sunset. Okay, if anything, over this side might be a bit too bright. So again, just linear gradient, darken down this side of the image. Okay, so just bring it in from the side, darken that down a little bit, bringing our eye back into where we want it to be, which we want it to be on that sunset. Okay, so that's it for this video. A very quick, simple and easy one. You don't have to over edit your images. Okay, just take them from a simple, like a nice photo to start with, and then just by a couple of little adjustments, highlights, shadows, contrast will boost your color. The Adobe Landscape Profile will boost your color. And then just a little bit of manipulation to lead our eye back to where we want it to go by darkening the areas that are too bright. Okay, so that's it for this video. Nice, simple and effective way of a very basic edit without thousands of layers and adjustments to try and make your image look nicer. Just simply darken down the brightest parts of your image and brighten up the parts of the image where you want your eye to go. Thank you, and I will see you all again soon.